You know how they say you never really know someone until you live with them? I always thought it was just one of those things people say. I learned the hard way that it's not. I found my roommate Jake on one of those roommate matching apps. He seemed normal, good reviews, decent job, no weird habits according to his profile. He moved in and everything seemed fine at first. He was quiet, paid rent on time, and mostly kept to himself. We didn't hang out much, but that was okay with me. I liked my space. After a few weeks, though, I started noticing little things. It was nothing major at first, just oddities that I brushed off. Sometimes I'd come home and find my things slightly moved. My books wouldn't be in the exact spot I left them. My blankets would be folded differently. I figured Jake was just tidying up and didn't think much of it. One night, I was watching TV in the living room and Jake came in from work. He gave me a nod and went straight to his room, like always. But this time, I noticed he had a small bag with him, which he quickly hid under his jacket. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid, that it was just something normal, but something felt off. A few days later, I was in the kitchen making dinner when Jake left his room to grab something. He was in a hurry and left his door slightly open. I couldn't help but glance inside. What I saw made my heart race. There was a small camera set up on a tripod, pointed directly at his bed. I tried to convince myself it was for something innocent, maybe he was into vlogging or something, but it felt wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that camera. Why would he need it in his bedroom? Was he filming himself, or was he filming me? The next day, while Jake was at work, I decided to snoop. I know, it's wrong, but I had to know. I went into his room and checked the camera. My stomach dropped when I saw that the memory card was missing. It meant he was actively using it, taking it with him. I looked around his room more and found another camera, hidden in a pile of clothes, pointed towards the shared bathroom. I felt sick. My mind raced with all the possibilities. How long had this been going on? Had he been filming me this entire time? I decided to confront him. I couldn't live with someone who was secretly recording me, but when I tried to bring it up, he just smiled. A creepy, knowing smile. "What are you talking about?" he said, his voice eerily calm. "You must be imagining things." I wanted to scream, to get out of there, but something about his demeanor scared me. He was too calm, too confident. I started to feel trapped, like I was being stalked or something. That night, I packed a bag and decided to leave. I didn't care if I was overreacting. As I was getting ready to go, my phone buzzed. It was a notification from an unknown number. It was a video. My hand shook as I opened it. It was a video of me, sitting on my bed, reading a book. The camera angle was high, from the corner of my room. My blood turned to ice. Jake had been recording me in my own room, my safe space. I turned to leave, but Jake was standing in the doorway, blocking my path. His smile was gone, replaced with a look of pure malice. "Going somewhere?" he asked, his voice dripping with menace. I don't remember much after that. I must have blacked out from fear. When I came to, I was in the living room, my bag still packed at my feet. Jake was gone, but the memory card from his camera was sitting on the coffee table. A note beside it read, "Watch this." I didn't. I couldn't. I grabbed my things and ran, not stopping until I was at a friend's place. I called the police, but by the time they got there, Jake had vanished. The cameras were gone, his room empty, like he had never been there. It's been months now, and I still can't shake that feeling of being watched. Every time I see a camera, or even a phone pointed in my direction, I freeze. I moved to a new place, got a new roommate, but I'm always on edge. You never really know someone until you live with them. I wish I had never met Jake. Sometimes someone can look great on paper, but once you actually live with them, it can be an entirely different story. Alright, so this is gonna sound like some horror movie stuff, but I swear it's real. Like, it's happened to me and I need to get it off of my chest. So, I had this roommate, Tom. At first, he seemed pretty normal. A bit weird maybe, but who isn't these days, right? Little did I know, he was the kind of weird that sends shivers down your spine. I met Tom through a Craigslist ad for a roommate. I needed someone to help with rent and he needed a place to stay. Seemed like a win-win. He moved in and things were fine for a bit. He kept to himself mostly, which I didn't mind. But then little things started to seem off. Like I'd find him standing in the hallway, just staring at me. Not saying anything, just staring with this blank look on his face. It was creepy, but I figured maybe he was just socially awkward or something. One night I woke up to a noise, like someone was moving around in the kitchen. I figured it was Tom, maybe getting a midnight snack or something. But when I went to check, there was no one there. I shrugged it off, but then I noticed the back door was slightly open. I locked it and went to bed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The next day, Tom acted like nothing happened. I decided to bring it up casually like, "Hey man, were you in the kitchen last night?" He looked at me with those dead eyes and just said, "No." That was it. No explanation, nothing. I laughed it off, but inside I was a little freaked out. Things got worse from there. I started noticing stuff in my room moved around. Like my clothes would be in different places. My drawers would be open. And sometimes I'd find weird notes under my pillow. They didn't say anything threatening, just stuff like, "Nice shirt," or "You look tired today." It was like someone was watching me all the time. I knew it had to be Tom, but I was like way too scared to confront him about it. One night I came home late from work. I was exhausted and just wanted to crash. As I walked up to the house, I saw Tom standing in the window, staring out into the street. It was weird, but what freaked me out was that he was staring right at me. He didn't move, didn't blink, just watched me as I walked up to the door. When I got inside, he was gone, like completely vanished. I checked his room, the bathroom, everywhere. He wasn't there. I didn't see Tom for a few days after that. I thought maybe he'd moved out, but his stuff was still there. Then, one night, I was walking home and I had this feeling like someone was following me. You know that feeling when you can just sense someone's there? I turned around and there he was, standing a few feet behind me, just staring. No expression, no words, just standing there. I freaked out and started walking faster. I didn't want to run and make it obvious, but my heart was pounding. I finally got to the house, ran inside, and locked the door. I called a friend and told them everything. They said I should kick him out, but I was scared. What if he did something to me? The final straw was one night when I woke up to find Tom standing in my room. He was just standing at the foot of my bed, watching me. I screamed and he just walked out like it was nothing. That was it. I packed my stuff and left the next day. Didn't even say goodbye, just bailed. I moved in with a friend and blocked Tom on everything. I thought I was safe, but then I started getting these texts from unknown numbers. They were all just pictures of me, walking to work, at the grocery store, even inside my new place. No messages, just pictures. I knew it was him. He was still watching me, stalking me. I went to the police, but they couldn't do anything. No proof, they said. I changed my number and moved again. To this day, I still get a little freaked out whenever I get a picture or video message. It's like this paranoid feeling will never leave me or something. So yeah, that's my creepy roommate story. I don't know what he wanted or why he did it, but it still haunts me. I'm always looking over my shoulder, always scared he's gonna show up again. I just hope he never finds out where I am now. So, me and my two roommates, Max and Sam, were living in this old, kinda beat up house just off campus. Max was cool, we clicked right away. But Sam? Man, Sam was another story. Dude was super weird from day one. But we needed a third person to help with the rent, so we didn't really have a choice. Sam moved in with all these boxes, but he never really unpacked. His room always looked like he was ready to leave at any moment. And he was quiet, like super quiet. He'd just sit in his room for hours, barely making a sound. But that wasn't even the weirdest part. At night, he'd hum. This creepy, low hum that you could barely hear through the walls. It gave me chills. One night, Max and I were chilling in the living room, playing video games, when we heard it. It was a thumping noise, like someone was dropping heavy books on the floor. We paused the game and listened. It was coming from Sam's room. Max shrugged it off, but I was already getting bad vibes. A few days later, I started noticing things, little things. Stuff would go missing, my phone charger, a couple of my shirts, even some food from the fridge. I asked Max, but he was just as confused as I was. We decided to talk to Sam. When we knocked on Sam's door, he didn't answer. Max, being Max, just opened the door, and there was Sam sitting on his bed, staring at the wall. His room was dark except for a single candle on the floor, and the walls covered in weird symbols drawn in what looked like red paint, or at least I hoped it was paint. "Hey Sam, what's up with the walls?" Max asked, trying to keep it casual. Sam turned his head slowly, like he was in some kind of trance. "Protection," he said. His voice was flat, emotionless. "Protection from what?" I asked, feeling more creeped out by the second. "The shadows," Sam whispered. "They're always watching." Max and I exchanged looks, not sure how to respond. We backed out of his room and closed the door, both of us feeling uneasy. That night, the humming was louder, and there were other noises too. Scratching sounds like something was clawing at the walls. I barely slept, and when I did, I had the worst nightmares. Dark figures standing at the foot of my bed, watching me with glowing eyes. The next morning, I told Max about it. He said he heard the noises too and was starting to get freaked out. We decided to confront Sam again, but when we went to his room, he was gone. His boxes, his weird symbols, everything was just gone. We didn't even hear him leave. Days turned into weeks and the house got creepier. The noises at night got worse. The shadows on the wall seemed to move on their own. One night, I woke up to find my door open and a dark figure standing in the doorway. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. It just stood there, watching me. When I finally blinked, it was gone. Max and I were losing it. We started sleeping in the living room with the lights on, just trying to make it through the night. One night, we heard a knock on the front door. It was Sam. His eyes were wide and he looked terrified. "They're coming," he whispered. I couldn't stop them. Before we could ask what he meant, he turned and ran into the darkness. We never saw him again. The house got worse after that. Max and I decided to leave. We packed up and moved out as fast as we could, but the nightmares never stopped. I still see those dark figures in my dreams, and I swear sometimes I hear that humming. Living with Sam was the scariest thing I've ever been through. Even now, thinking about it gives me chills. If you ever get a weird roommate, trust your gut. Don't stick around to find out what they're hiding.